Good evening, guys. It's September 9th. Today is a Friday. So let's start with pre-market notes first, right? So it's a September month levels, right? So we will move to December month starting this Monday. But today is all about September month levels, okay? So don't get confused with December month. If you are using December month contract, I am only talking about September month level, right? So today we will focus on reactionary longs above or at aggressive buyers area and from preferred buyers area in general, right? So that's a bigger statement, right? And then I am talking about if price goes below both areas, then sellers will become active, and then it is up to backup buyers area to decide at that time in both indexes, right? So at least based on this note, we know that yesterday's high and closing is important for buyers to hold, right? And or above aggressive buyers, at aggressive buyers or prefer buyers. So basically above this we will favor buyers, below all of that we will favor sellers, right? And reactionary longs, okay? So price is trying to gap up into R. So this is like a backup statement. If price opens into R, right, and there is open trade down, then what you need to see, in order to avoid longs in that case, so you can read through all of this, right? Russell, you can read through all of these things, right? Crude you can read, gold you can read, right? NQ's dream number, very powerful, right? 429, 377, this was my long actually from 429, right of the open, like after 10 minutes, 429 pullback, and then that was my long. Dream numbers are very powerful, so that was 429 long, see right there, dream number. So now let's talk about this, right? So aggressive buyers area, right, above or at, we will favor longs. Preferred buyers area, and then NQ's aggressive buyers area is this. Price even didn't get to this, right? But we know dream numbers are important, so above dream number even more buyers, right? So and then preferred sellers area taken out here, pull back here, worked, pull back here, worked, right? Price took out aggressive sellers area here also, right? And then it reached back up sellers area. That was the ultimate target, right? And that's why price stopped there. NQ backup seller area was here, right? But then when it reached here, I said this could be it, like high of the day probably, so 600 area, that is what I said, that's the target. And this area, actually this area was yesterday's backup seller area and day before also. Just because of overnight price action, I shifted up, because last 2 days buyers are super active, right? So if they push it through it, and today is a Friday, it may happen, they may push through it, right? So that's why I put the backup sellers area above, but this was actual backup sellers area from last 2 days, anyway, so that helped. But anyway, that was profit taking, right? Not for going short, right? We are not shorting. So based on the pre-market notes, right? So of the open, we were observing it, right? So of the open in Discord, we were talking about this, right? And then I said this, or just watch, right? And then price came down here, right? And then it went back up. So we were talking that, hey, buyers are active, right? So we actually, before in the pre-market voice, I said this area is important, right? So, and buyers can step in at any point, so, and if breakdown happens here, right, if price goes below dream number, it has to hold below dream number for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and then you want to see a response for sellers, right? But still you can buy it here because this was aggressive buyers area, right? So price was way above it. But in this case, what happened is, while we were watching these things, ES has an upward drive right of the open, right? And this thing was also going higher. Actually NQ was going higher, ES was doing here, ES was doing chop around, while NQ was going higher, establishing a stair step up here, so while AD was going down, but it was in a way good positive territory, here also AD was going down. That's why you were seeing this hesitation, right? But that doesn't mean that sellers are active. See, this is where the expert reading comes in internals, right? when you watch too much internals all the time, you know, for a couple of years, you will know that what is fake and what is real, you know, when they trend down like this, right? Price always supersedes the internals, right? So when it was going down, this is not a trending down internals, they are like way positive territory, you know. So this, because of this down move, you know, down internals, price was hesitating, but the moment it gets clearance, you know, so it get cleared right from here. See that after there is starting upward and price also started going higher. See, this was a sign that now price wants to go higher. That was a confirmation, right? But you have to read through it before it so you can get a better entry. So that's why I took the long at this pullback, which is okay. Let me zoom it up a little bit. Right here at dream number, you know, I love my dream number, you know. So when it slides through like this, see, I see this as a failed breakdown. See, after this I was expecting price to hold below this, you know, but anyway, I'm not planning to short, but I was watching this thing that, hey, if sellers are active, let them hold these things. The moment price closed above, you know, I'm up for long, right? So I was ready to go long, right? But then I saw internals, right? They were like trending down, and ES was also same thing, correct? So I didn't go long here, you know, and then price has to clear out this 512. That was the whole idea, you know, that it has to clear this before sellers area, right? So I was watching, and then it was hesitating, and the internal stopped going down, right? And then straight spike down to this area, you know, suddenly, while internals were, you know, good positive territory, you know. So I initiated a long here because of this failed breakdown idea, you know, that was the only reason. So, and then it was a dream number also, right? So that's why I took the long here, right? At the same time, I know ES was balancing, correct? And the momentum was holding above zero line clearly, and internals were positive actually, very good territory, right? So this was like plus 1800. So it's like a strong bullish AD here, right? So when it popped down here, like at this low, right, which was also our aggressive buyers area top 25, right? So I initiated a long here also, both together, you know, at the same time, right? Because AD was not like tanking here, see that? So, and momentum was holding, so I bought it, and it was a gap up nicely, you know, nice gap up at even, I think it was at 40. Where was the gap up? Gap up was at 40, you know. So it was not into resistance. If it was gapped up right here, you know, it could be in resistance, but it was in the here, you know. So it was not gap up into R. So this was a long, you know, based on all this combining pre-market notes reading, right? Pre-market note says aggressive buyers above or at, you know, favor longs. All this comes into together into pieces of puzzle, you know, all puzzle of the pieces of the puzzle, you have to put it together, and that's why you go long right here, you know, you have to take chances, right? See, worst case, what's gonna happen? Worst case, you get stopped out, right? But then it will go right directly then to gap fill, which is also yesterday's high, very important for buyers to hold it. By the time internals were plus 1800, right? Think logically, from 25 to 10, 15 points down, do you think internal will go down from 1800 to 0? No, right? So 1800 to maybe it will go to 1300, 1500. At that time, what will happen? It will create a bullish disconnect here. You will still go long there, right? And then you can target 25, you can recover your loss and probably more, right? So, you see my point here? So how I am thinking ahead of the time. So I was thinking all these things, scenarios, you know, when price was chopping around, I was thinking, what if it comes down here, right? What if it comes down here, right? And both were longs actually, right? So because I was thinking about bullish disconnect, even though if it comes here in advance, I don't have to wait for AD to tell me, you know. So that's why. So you take this long and this long, you know, both of them. And then below this, then it's a problem, right? As per pre-market notes. So anyway, so that was the long, right? And ES you can't move around, so ES you have to hold it, you know. So ES you hold it, and then, you know, it moves higher, take out preferred sellers area. You can scale at 50 here, this 50 you can scale it, you know, but stop you cannot move it. Then when it went higher above 58, that's where you move the stop, you know, right below this area, below Globex high, right below here, you know, and then you hold it, you target higher up if you want to, otherwise being Friday you bail out here and you call it a day off. But anyway, later on if you're trading it, there was a pullback here, VWAP was here, preferred sellers area was here, right, which turned into buyers area now, right, and I think at that time it was also intraday, the lower time frame VWAP and mid RTH also, right, internals were holding, like see these things, AD was holding nicely, right, NQ was holding, so you can go long here, not at the first test, right, because it's the second test of this area, so you cannot go long here first test. Then what happens? Second test happened, right, actually it went through it, correct. So now you wait and then see what happens, right, price want to go down, let it go down then, right, but instead immediately pop up, right, now you can go long, after having this confirmation, right, that hey, it doesn't want to go down, it basically trapped the sellers right here, now you go long. So that was the story for ES, right, and you can see the how price moved between levels, from 1 2 3 4, and then here it died down, right, because it was a backup sellers area. So see, the dynamics are changing now. It used to be 2 days back, right, it used to be buyers were allowing price to go down up to backup buyers area in NQ and preferred buyers area in ES, and then they were buying it, right, and then they were holding preferred sellers area, sellers. Now the dynamics changed, so now people are buying it at aggressive buyers area and NQ's preferred buyers area, and they are taking price to backup sellers area, and then sellers are selling it. See, so it's like change from backup buyers buying to backup sellers selling, right, so that is the dynamic now, but anyway, so for ES, for NQ, right, so NQ was this area, this was a long, right, and then if you look at it on the way up, right, every line acted as a resistance, and then every line turned into support after broken out, right, so you don't care about resistance, you care about support, right, so when this thing popped up here, right, see this area reacted because it was preferred sellers area, right, then what happened? Went down, right, it held this area. When you are watching these things, you can see it's holding it, right, then it goes higher, you take a long either here or here, then you target the next area. This area did not even reacted, right, price sliced through it, went up to this area, came back, you hold it, held this as a support, it was a cyan line, right, you buy it here, bail out here, came down again all the way down this. See here in Discord, when price was here, I said 490 to 480 is a line in sand, and then 512, right, so 512 you already bought it here, so no second time buying. When it came down here, this was a final line in sand, so you buy it here, because by the time internals were rising, very good territory, 90 plus AD, here is plus 1800, nothing is wrong, right, buyers are everywhere, so you buy it, or you wait, price bounce back up, here you go long, and then you can target 600 most likely, that is the thing, so, and you can see the pattern was, so here also there was a failed breakdown, see, similar to ES, like this, see, same thing, balance, breakdown, fail. The moment price goes up 545, you go long, target this, and you are out, right, so it was very good stepping up pattern today, in NQ especially. ES, it did it later on, not of the open, but later on it did it, so that's how it is, so pre-market notes and the levels are very, very important. If you just focus on it, read it, it will work out very nicely. Now let me talk about Mboxwave to see if we find anything there. Okay, so Mboxwave, right, so now I would suggest you watch my previous part of this video, my regular video before this, right, so you watch it, so at least you know the context. So the context was today, so it's hard to basically walk you through blindly without knowing the context, assuming that I don't know the context, right, assuming I don't have a levels, so it's hard to walk you through every day without bringing context or levels into the picture, right, just based on pure Mboxwave. So I try to do it so far, right, but some days are difficult, right, So but anyway, I will try my best to do that, you know. So but anyway, so let's look at here, right? So so this is yesterday's price action, right? So now yesterday we had a roller coaster, right? Up, down, right? Up and down both ways. And what was the end result? Nothing, right? Price closed here, so no result, right? And then today what happened? So let's see. So right, so no result, and then overnight what happened? It traded above this area, right? So okay, so now let me do this, right? So right here, right? So overnight it traded above this area, right? So at least we know buyers are there, right? Logical thing to think about it, right? That buyers are there, simple. Here no result, right? And then price closed here, and then overnight it sliced through it, right? So now we know buyers are in this area somewhere, right? Because it's trading above it, it's holding it, right? Common sense. So let's do this, right? Now what happened after that? So before open, right? So before open we can see there was a fight here, both parties were fighting, right? You can see there are algos also, like double algo, triple algo, double, triple algo, right? 3 triple algos, right? So at least you know there are buyers here, you know, 3 triple algos, right? And then there was no triple sell algo here, see, only double algo here, there is no triple sell algo, right? So that's the difference, right? So at least you know some buyers are really active here, right? And they were trying to hold, actually sellers were trying to hold this area, this area, right? So now given a choice, right? So let's say here, right? So given a choice right here, when price was chopping around, which side are you going to favor? Let's say you are trading right at 3 o'clock, right? Or 3:05 or whatever, 3:10 this time, right? So which side you gonna favor, right? You're going to favor, I would favor buyers, I would not favor sellers, right? Because not only price is trading above this area here, right? And somebody is trying to short above this area. It doesn't make sense to short. I would rather defend this area up to here until it's broken down, right? Common sense, because it's trading above yesterday's price action, right? So selling it here is not a good idea, you know, after looking at this only, you know, because here not only, see, traditionally if it is trading above yesterday's high, right, you can short, but only if the contextually it is supported, right? So at least bare minimum you look at the previous day's price, right? And price is like here, there was no result achieved, and then you see overnight result was achieved, right? Because price was above this area, so buyers are there, right? So you focus on buyers then, right? So let's see, so now you go long here, right? So you do say you took long, right? And let's say you missed out, right? So then what happens after that? What do you look for after that? Let's say price goes higher like this, right? So you look for a pullback into this area. So it was only 330 at that time, right? But you hope that during RTH, if price comes here, let's say price goes higher and come back down into this one of these two area, and if you see something, that would be a good long, you know, at least that's the mentality you have to go in, right? So here it pulled back, right? And then again it bounced, right? So at least now you know. So let me quickly scroll down here. So 920 here, right? So at least by this time you know that price is holding above this. Last set of buyers came from this area, and then it break out, and now in the overnight it is holding above this area, right? So basically this sellers area flipped into buying area, right? So now it's 925 right now, right? So what do you think? So you have to think, if it comes here, I will go long. If it comes here, I will go long somewhere in the middle or at the bottom, not at the top, right? Why? Because it is breaking below this area, right? So immediately going long here is a suicide. So you have to wait for a price to come down here somewhere, you know, in the lower part of this support, then you go long. Okay, so let's move forward. So here price touched here of the open, right? And then what happened? Okay, so here immediately buying came, right? So this, look at this sell algo, right? So somebody sold it right here, right? And then what happened? it went down, right? But went down into support, correct? Looks like it wants to go down, immediately back up, and price took out these sellers immediately, right? And look at this, 247, 447. So there was a divergence in this, right? See, I'm looking with you right now. I didn't get a chance to even look at it earlier, right? Because I don't look at it. My levels are good enough for me, you know. So, and this was my level anyway. So, but anyway, so it bounced from it, right? So then what? Now you look for long, either with the flow right here, but then your stop has to be below this area. So 400, and you go long at 467, you are giving 67 points as a stop loss, right? So you have to wait for a pullback, you know. Ideally I prefer a pullback in this situation, you know, or you go long right here, you know, in this area at the first touch, and your stop is right here. And then if price comes down here, let's say stop you out, you go long again here, stop is here. That's another way to trade it. Or if you wait for a confirmation like this, then you have to wait for a pullback somewhere into this area, you know, somewhere, because this is a good support also, right? Right before in the pre-market, that was taken out, right? So now since price went through it and went up, if it pulls back here, this could be a long, you know. So let's see what happens. See that pullback? This was your long. Your stop is now, if you go long here, right, your stop is what, 30 point, which is reasonable, right? Because you are looking for more up move, right? So that's how you go long. See, this was my dream number also, right? So this, oops, sorry. See, I love my dream numbers, you know. So which was right here. See this line 429, that was my dream number. So if you watch the previous part of this video, you will know. So these are the powerful numbers, you know. So I personally went long right here, first touch, you know. I didn't even, anyway, Mbox was not open, but I went long here, you know. But now through Mboxwave also, now you can go long here, right? And then this was also this, what is it called? I forgot. What, imbalance, right? It was imbalance here also, and there was no selling here. See, this was all pointing to the upside, right? At least you know based on the previous reading, this reading, that buyers are here, right? So you go long here, right, with reasonable stop, and then price moved up, right? So, and then you manage it, right? I'm not here to tell you how to manage, right? But you manage it then afterwards, right? And then what happened? Then you look at this. See, pull back here, went higher, right? So that's how you manage it later on. But that was your entry, you know. And then later on, all these were my levels, you know. The 512 was my level right here. You know, so it just did. Today price worked out very nicely for both ES and NQ, level to level trading, you know. But anyway, that be all for today.